Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Alright. Imagine that you just finally came up to live your full dream. This happened to Lyle Alzado. He was drafted in 1971 by the Denver Broncos, and he was quoted later on in this interview with Sports Illustrated, saying when he first got there, he outran, out-hit, anyone, and all along he was taking steroids, which had just kind of come into the sports world when he was playing. His first season, he led the league with 10.5 sacks and tied with the record that year with 91 tackles. Later on, in 1974, he eventually had the record for the Broncos. He eventually was moved around the league, and he finished off his career with the Oakland Raiders. And when he was quoted saying about why he took steroids, he said, "I was so wild about winning. It's all I cared about, and I could never talk about anything else." Shortly after his career, which ended in the mid-'80s, he eventually began to show signs of his body starting to wear down from steroids. First thing that happened was his Achilles tendon began to wear out, and then his ACL tore off, and in 1992 he was not even able to walk a full line because he eventually developed brain cancer, which he eventually came out about, why he developed brain cancer at such a young age was because of his steroid use. And in 1992 he ended up dying from brain cancer. When quoted in this article and on ESPN, he simply said it just wasn't worth it, and he said to younger kids who were using steroids, if you're on human growth hormones, you need to stop it because it just wasn't worth it. Obviously, steroids have become something that is very dangerous, and today I want to show to you the dangers of taking steroids, what it does to you, or what they are, and what it does to you both physically and emotionally. I think before you get to see what steroids do to you physically and emotionally, you have to know what they are. All they are they mimic what the male hormone testosterone does, and what that does is it retains dietary protein, which helps in the development of muscles. And so as an athlete, that'd be something that they would want, because within a 2 weeks time, by taking steroids, you can build a massive amount of muscles because you have this ability to gain it, because it takes everything that you eat, it takes everything, and it just magnifies it. So steroids pretty much mimic what testosterone does in the male body, but it overloads your body with the male hormone testosterone. Most healthy males will produce 10 milligrams of testosterone a day. This can double it and sometimes triple it, and that's when people call stacking. They just will mix it all together, and they'll take as much as they can. There are obviously, by doing this, there are going to be some health hazards, both, like I said, physical and psychological. And some of these effects can be undetected and also can be irreversible. And one thing that used to happen in the 80s, and in all the research they kept on saying this, is they would begin to use needles, and that's what you can see here, and you have pills, and there are also certain creams that you can use, but these are the most commonly used ones. One thing that used to happen was HIV being spread and hepatitis B being spread through the use of dirty needles. But even if that was done correctly, if the needles were clean, there's also severe physical effects in both men and women, and some of these can be different compared to what sex you are. It can also be the same no matter who you are. First thing with men, the first thing that can happen with men is a feminization of the man starts to occur, and that is in the development of breasts, a reduced sperm count, impotence sexually, shrinking of the testicles, or pain or difficulty while urinating. And this shows the acne of the chest, probably, worst case scenario. And this just shows cirrhosis of the liver, and then this shows everything that can happen to a person while you're taking steroids. For women, a masculization effect can occur that includes facial hair, deepened voice, breast reduction, and menstrual cycle change. And for both sexes, the things that can happen include acne, feeling bloated, rapid weight loss, clotting disorders, liver damage, heart attacks or strokes, high cholesterol levels, and weakened tendons, like Lyle Alzado showed when his body began to wear down. Another thing that can happen is that you probably have heard of Roid Rage, and this picture, I tried to see what picture can work best. It's the best I can do with that. Roid Rage actually is a real thing because the body is having so much testosterone being put into it. A person can go from being very depressed to all of a sudden showing signs of extreme anger to showing signs that I feel like I'm invincible, nothing can stop me, to then feeling like they could just beat up on anyone who gets in their way. So, because of the high testosterone levels that can come into a person while taking steroids, they eventually show signs that they can just beat up anyone, and that has shown in family members, with parents using it sometimes, and professional athletes who just out of nowhere would just freak out on their kids. So in conclusion to using steroids, obviously with the Alzado example, you know, steroids may show a benefit for you if you're an athlete at some point, but eventually your body is going to wear down, and slowly but surely the effects of it will show. That's it.
Annette, what did you think?
I think you presented your information very clearly. You did a good job on the visual aids. They're very attention-grabbing. The only thing is that I think you look too much at your visual aids and not enough at the audience. You turn your backpack a lot. But your pronunciation and your voice is very loud, very good. Overall, you did a very good job.
Thank you.
All right, and I don't mind folks pointing out things about the presentation. That's okay. You know, the way he delivered the speech, those sorts of things. But don't forget to also comment on the things we've been talking about: clarity of the thesis, organization issues, citation, and those are a couple of things that I want to point out. I thought you did a good job with your attention device. The visualization is fine. You've got the slide to go with it, which is nice and large, so for everybody to see. So it's pretty clear what your topic is. I thought you had a good preview setting up what the content of the speech was going to be, and I thought it was even nicer that you had good transitions on the first couple of points especially, but moving from the introduction into the body of the speech, I thought you had a very nice transition there. Most of your transitions between the main points are also highlighted by a slide change too, so that also gives us a visual reference for the organizational structure of the speech as well. I think most of the images are large enough for us to see. I thought you rushed through all the descriptions on that third slide, which has 3 or 4 different components on it, and it just kind of, that went by, that went by, that went by very quickly, so there's not a lot of talk about it. One of them is pretty self-explanatory, so I don't think you needed to do too much on that, but the other one is just background information. It was clear you had a lot of information, but I didn't hear any reference to any source other than the one Sports Illustrated article about Lyle Alzado. I got a lot of they and the research references, and that's a little obscure. So you want to be more precise when you were citing your information. And I will agree with Annette about the presentation thing. When the slides are up there, you have a tendency to turn toward the screen and speak at the screen instead of the audience. I appreciated that you got out of the way of the slide at the beginning. It seemed like you recognized, oh, this is on my face, and let me move over to the side. But then once you're to the side, it just sort of becomes your habit to kind of turn and talk to that. Slide's not going anyplace. You know what's on there. Talk to us. If there's something that you have to indicate, back up and make those indications. But try and stay focused on the audience, and I think you'll be better off there. All right, thank you for getting us started off pretty